Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is Monday review time, and as you can see, I'm joined by Rhys. This is Saturday night still. We've had to get this in quick because Rhys is busy on Sunday. So we are freestyling this evening, Rhys, to talk about what was a very impressive win for Neil Harris's Gillingham as they overcame promotion chasing Carlisle United by 1-0 at a lively Priestfield Stadium.
Yeah.
What a performance, first and foremost.
What a performance. And I just got to say as well, the thing that we're just looking at the stadium, obviously when the goal went in, but even just to build up, the whole atmosphere just looked electric. And I've got used to watching games from afar, but there was a part of me today that I would sacrifice a lot, maybe even the video, to just go and watch that in the stadium today. It just looked electric, and I was very envious of all of the fans, including my own dad, who's in there as well, of course, in the Midway stand, who got to experience that. It was just such a good watch. Yeah,
From start to finish, we were spot on. But we'll try and follow the same pattern as we do with notes. But we have literally nothing tonight apart from a couple of tweets. 2 o'clock, team news came in. One change, I think pretty much unsurprising, was Tuesday night's match winner Aidan O'Brien came into the 11. So that team in full was Glenn Morris in goal. It was a back four of Shay Alexander, Maxima, Connor Masterson and Robbie McKenzie. Midfield four from right to left was Alex McDonald, Timmy Dieng, Sean Williams, we'll get to him in a bit, and Aidan O'Brien, and the front two of Oliver Hawkins and Tom Nichols. 7 on the bench again because Neil Harris has decided to use Tate Hultman in the squad at the moment, which allows us to get an extra outfield player due to the homegrown rule. Plenty of options on there, which was great to see. The likes of Tristan Abrahams, George Lapsley, Dom Jeffries, all got options if you want to come on and change the game and try and find a goal. And then we've got the likes of Will Wright, David Tatonda, Ethan Coleman, if we try and see a game out. We'll get to that later on. No surprises for the team?
No, not for me. Actually, I thought that was it. The subtle change that we had actually strengthened it for this matchup, and I even thought it was really nice that Neil Harris at home was going to put 4 at the back, and I thought it was a solid team. Looking forward to, I generally thought this team could win today, and it looked like a setup that could push forward and get something from this game. I mean, with the setup, I would have taken a point, absolutely, no doubt about it. I would have ripped someone's hand off for that. But obviously, the outcome of the game, as we know, was something slightly different. And but the setup for me showed that we had intent of not necessarily just digging our heels in, actually trying to create something, and that was good to see. That was very positive from Harris, and I really like to see that kind of setup that he put up today. I thought it was really good.
Echo that inside the ground. We were speaking before the game. We had Nicholas on and myself and Boz en route to the ground, and we said, a point would be a decent result if we could pinch it. Absolutely brilliant, but yeah. A draw was never a disaster. A defeat wasn't a disaster as well. And we was very keen to mention that, myself and Nicholas, in the build-up, because certain people like to aim criticism straight away at Neil Harris, regardless of looking at who we're playing, where they are in the table and that type of thing. And that frustrates me a little bit. But today was not a free swing, but it was a great gauge of how far we still have to go to get to where we want to be for next season. Obviously, with the win, it probably means that we're safe now with 44 points, but we're not going to ease off. But yeah, certainly agree with the sentiment that the draw would have been very good. A win would have been unbelievable, but it wasn't the end of the world if we did get beat. I thought we started the game really well. You've got to forgive me. Sorry, Gills fans. I'm a little bit croaky. I'm going to keep drinking water because the voice has gone a little bit. And we've got literally no notes, like I've already said.
I think you can just say, you could be forgiven for that, I think.
Some people might enjoy it more if my voice isn't working. You never know. I thought we started really bright. Just trying to think back to the game. We had a couple of early corners, a couple of throw-ins. We got into good areas really early. We pressed them. And yeah, I just thought it sort of set the tone for that first period.
The first 15, 20 minutes of the game, it's interesting because when I make my highlight list on my computer, actually there wasn't many, and it was just more of me having a chat about what's happened in the game so far. But actually, I don't think both teams could really get a foothold. But if there was, I felt we had a bit more of control about how the game was being played compared to Carlisle. I thought Carlisle were half a second slow to a lot of things, where I thought we were kind of confident knocking the ball around. We were trying to play not just a variety of different type of football. We weren't just hoofing it long to Hawkins. We did do that quite often, but we were trying to play a different sort of like this total football approach. We were passing the ball around, then we were going long. We were making Carlisle's second guess quite a lot, as what I kind of imagined from this.
Gills and total football, there's a phrase you never thought you'd hear the first half of the campaign.
Absolutely. But even so, I just wanted, there was a moment we had our first call of the game was on the left hand side, and we tried to take a training gun. So I was the right hand side, trying to take a training gun style move, and try to catch them out. And then usually when you do that, you go back to your standard corner when you get the second one. But we didn't. We tried something else at the near post. So we were really throwing all sort of curveballs at Carlisle. And I think that kind of set them back a little bit and made them a little bit nervous, because we were trying to play a variety of style of football. It was just really refreshing to watch. And
yeah, that was around the 10th minute when the game sort of burst into a little bit of life. I remember Robbie McKenzie found himself in absolute acres on the left-hand side, and I think the cross got blocked for that first corner. Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I thought Macca scuffed the first one. I didn't think it was a training ground move. Second one I thought was when I think it was Aidan O'Brien tried to flick it in, and it sort of hit Thomas Holy in the chest, and then he fell on it. But yeah, it was nice to see a different approach rather than just going very direct straight away. We did it when we had to. And that's how Neil Harris plays. We've said that 100 times, and we'll say it 100 more. That's the way he sets up his teams. He lives and dies by a good target man. We've got a good target man, so we're going to utilise that.
Of course.
I think the first bit of defending we had to do was a free kick. And I remember saying to Boz on the match day, look, I can't see why it's been given. I think sort of two players jumped together, and then referee, for some reason, pointed for a free kick to our visitors. But I thought what we'd done really well today was anything that came into our box, we were absolutely immaculate, whether that was Glenn Morris coming and punching or claiming, or Connor Masters and Maxima heading it, Timmy Dieng, Sean Williams dropping in and helping, or the fullbacks clearing anything up if it did drop around our 6-yard, 18-yard box. I just thought everyone was switched on and everyone knew their role. I thought first half, and I don't know if you'll agree, obviously watching it from a slightly different angle, they was trying to get Omari Patrick in the game a lot of the time, the right winger who had a lot of pace. But I thought we were brilliant in doubling up on him when we had to. We was good in terms of going to try and pinch it early. We knew when to stand off and let him try and run. I thought we handled him immaculately. And the fact that he got bought off midway through the second half only emphasises that point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite funny because when I watch from this perspective, I get the commentary. I have the luxury of the commentary, and quite often I pick up a lot of names through that when the commentators are saying the same names regularly, either for the Gills or the opposition team, you kind of thought, oh, they're making a bit of an influence on this game. I didn't really hear Omari Patrick that often. So I think we were doing the right job in trying to usher him out of the game. And if I'm totally honest, I didn't particularly notice him too much trying to do things. And all we were trying to do...
we noticed him because he was that side. So he was in the block. He was running towards like the block that we were sat in the Raynham end. But that's probably because they didn't offer anything else, really, did they? No. They tried to go to Joe Garner a couple of times, but he's not the size of Ollie Hawkins, so he's not able to bring it into his chest and link play. I thought... Go on.
No, I was going to say, of the first half, Carlisle looked like a team that are going for promotion, that underperformed, but then matched up against a team who were well organised. It was a combination of all those things together. I didn't think Carlisle... A lot of fans are saying that's one of the worst performances they've seen this season, which says a lot, actually. They really do have potential to push up the table. But, you know, you could still see they had a lot of quality, and that we just matched them up perfectly against them to sort of counter that. And that was definitely noticeable in the first half. I did say in sort of my halftime sort of short review that actually it was just it was a clash of the 50%. And but we had that, maybe if there were to be an extra percent, just that slight bit of control. And I think that's the difference in that first half. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I think that sums it up. And like you say, they're a good side. They're not going to be third in March without being a decent outfit.
Exactly.
You don't fluke your way through the first 2/3 of the season. Absolutely not. But I thought we made them look very average. And again, it comes back to this point we've had discussions before, and it's been spoken about on social media in general. There doesn't seem to be a huge gulfing class between the top teams and between those that are in the lower echelons of the table. And we've shown that today. But I just thought for the remainder of that first half, it was a good watch. It was engaging. It was intriguing. It was almost like a chess match. You was waiting to see if someone was going to take a chance. But I thought it was played in the middle third. We had corners, free kicks. They had a couple of free kicks. They tried to get Patrick in unsuccessfully. I thought come half time, I think we're the happier side because of league position. I understand that entirely. But I thought we were, like you've said, I thought we were the ones that were trying to make the run in, and we were the ones that were playing in a controlled manner.
Yeah, that's it. To go very historically, it's like we were the one firing the arrows, and they're the ones that had the shields. That's kind of how it felt for that half.
Tell he's a teacher, can't you, people?
I'm not a history teacher, though. But that's definitely how it kind of felt. Was
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it was almost like there was two phases. They were setting up their defensive line, and we were having to try and penetrate that, and we didn't do it all the time, but. Like I say, we were certainly the ones that you felt were trying to make things happen more than them. They looked to be playing on the counter attack, which is understandable. They're on the away side coming to a team that's won 6 in 7 at kickoff. And it's great, despite the gap between us in league position at the moment. The gap was a lot smaller in terms of form, and they showed us enough level of respect to know that we were playing well.
Absolutely. And I have to say, before we move on to the second half, the statistic that you gave earlier in the week when you were talking to the your Carlisle fan, I forgot his name. Sorry, apologies for that. Liam, that was it. Yeah. He like when you said that, I thought it's going to be 0-0. Like it's destined to be 0-0. And I thought
about 30 seconds away from it.
We were about 30 seconds away from that. But that statistic you gave up kind of epitomizes the form which both these teams are in. And I think if we had our first half of the season like we're having now, I wonder if we would be the two teams neck and neck going for that third and fourth position. I wonder.
It's all ifs and buts, isn't it?
It is all ifs,
but we're enjoying it at the moment. It's been very good, and we're excited about next season, I think. But yeah, it would be an interesting watch back, in the reverse fixture back in August, September, if we'd had the same team. But we know you can't do that, unfortunately. No. Second half, I thought we started good again. I thought we got on the front foot. I think there was a half chance, I think, wasn't there? I think Tom Nichols escaped. Looked like he was offside. Linesman didn't flag. And then he tried to cut it back, I think, but he just took an extra touch. And but by the time he'd done that, he sort of got smothered. And then there was another chance from a corner, I think. Alex McDonald whipped one to the far post, and I think Ollie Hawkins was just sort of leaning back and headed it into the rain.
Yeah.
But then credit Carlisle. I thought they then grew into the game, and I thought they had a 15-minute spell, not where they were opening us up, creating loads of chances, because it wasn't a game for the goalkeepers. But I just thought they controlled the game better, like we'd done in the first period, and kept it better.
There was a moment in that second half as well. It was one of my favourite tackles of the season, was Alex McDonald, I think, came across. That was the only time in which our defence kind of frayed slightly. I think we're looking at that 15-minute spell that you're alluding to. And there was a moment where Carlisle was starting to break through, and we put a block in, and it got recycled back into the box. And all of a sudden, there was just almost just like it was a one-on-one, but from about 18, 19 yards away. And the defence is kind of split. I can't think who was leading up. It might have been, I can't remember who it was of Carlisle moving forward, but it was I thought if this goes on target, it's going to be hard for Morris to try and save. But I think McDonald just came in from the side, and this is when they were trying to claim for a penalty, but it actually was a fantastic block. He just managed to get his foot around.
It was Macca, because I remember saying to Boz, always got to be careful because he got that silly yellow card. I've never seen anything like that. Right, at the start of the
nuts.
Half. I think Joe Garner tried to run into our half early. Macca sort of shoved him in the chest, and there was a bit of handbags, and we were sort of in the ground going, what's happening? Because I was looking at my phone trying to do the recording for the first bit of to put up second half underway. And I said to Boz, what's happened? And he went, they're just sort of shoving each other in the centre circle.
Yeah. I have to say, for all of the second halves that we've started, like this season, because I'm the same as you. I like to get a nice little piece for the start of the second half part of the video. There's been a handful of times it hasn't run smoothly at the start of the restart of play.
I didn't know what was going on, so I've not looked at it directly, and I was trying to rely on Boz to tell me what was going on. But yeah, so 2 silly bookings. I thought the referee was all right, to be fair. He made a couple of dodgy decisions. Ollie Hawkins got nothing again, but I think you can tell that Charles Breakspear has refereed at a higher level this season. I think he's been in the Championship, and obviously we get them during international break. But I mean, it's not a high bar, but he certainly weren't the worst official we've had this season.
No, I thought it was fine. Unnoticeable, in my opinion, controlled it quite well. But yeah, so it was fine from my side.
Yeah. I think just after that chance, the one where Macca got out and managed to block it for a corner, we had another half chance. I think there was a cutback for Timmy Dieng, and he sort of shot off balance, and it went straight. Well, it barely made it to Thomas Holy in effect, but it was good to see Timmy doing that type of thing again, because I think he's just sort of played within himself the last few games. If we remember Swindon, he was galloping into the box, getting on the end of crosses and scoring goals. I don't know whether he's had a slightly different role, and that's instruction from the bench. but it was good to see Timmy getting on today and getting into the 18-yard box. Again, if he'd made a sweeter connection, you never know, it could have been a goal a bit earlier. But I thought Dieng and Williams were very good as a pair, and it was great to see Timmy again back to somewhere near his best. I thought he was very impressive.
Yeah, I thought it was really good today, actually. I thought he was definitely in the game. He was noticeable. And that chance you're talking about, actually, it was just because he didn't expect to come to him. So he got a connection on it. But if he was expecting that to come to him, it would have put a much stronger volley towards goal, would have made it a lot harder for Thomas Holy to try and save.
Yeah, totally.
But apart from that, like he definitely was in the game and was part of the game and was making things happen. And compared to what he was previously, absolutely agree with you. He's making a difference again in our lineup, and that's a Timothy Dieng that I was expecting from Exeter City when he came over. I was expecting that, and now he went for that lull where he was not great, and I thought, I hope this isn't a continuing trend, but he's picked himself back up again, and it's looking pretty solid, especially with Sean Williams in the middle of the park. I think they're looking pretty tidy together, actually.
Yeah, they are. I think they look very good as a pair, and it makes a huge difference because Neil Harris just didn't trust us playing as a four, did he, in the middle of the park in the start of the season because the players weren't good enough effectively. I think there was two things that Glenn Morris had to do of any note second period. One was come and punch a corner.
Yep.
Which he did very well. And I think he made a save late on as well that you'd expect him to make again. He's got a good hand on it. It's at the right height. It's from distance. Again, if it goes past him, I know you've laughed and said if he lets that in, he probably has to retire a few weeks ago. I'd say it was a similar type save today. I mean, he'd be very disappointed if that squirms through Glenn. There was lots of changes, wasn't there? We brought on Dom Jeffries and George Lapsley for McDonald and Aidan O'Brien. That seems to be the go-to change at the moment, regardless of who starts out of them four. I thought Dom came on and gave us real energy. George, again, didn't see enough of the ball for me, but he was neat and tidy when he did have it. I just thought Dom was very good at getting the crowd going again and stretching the play on that left-hand side. And he made a couple of galloping runs and got beyond his fullback. There was a couple of half chances for cutbacks. He's involved in a big moment, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. But yeah, I just thought they were good substitutions. Again, obviously we have Macca on a card, so it was sensible taking him off.
I just think as well,
these options, isn't it?
It's great. And I think actually, because Dom's been here since the start of the season, the crowd are really behind him. They want him to do well. I mean, they want the whole team to do well, but specifically him because he's been part of the team, which was like same with Williams as well. Like he's been part of a team that's been really poor. And now he's part of a team that's starting to really develop. And as a result, everyone's really rooting for him to really perform well. So I think he probably feeds from that and that multiplies as well. And when he starts to perform, the crowd get behind even more. And it's like a multiplier effect. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. Yeah, and I definitely feel that. And I feel the same with Williams as well. Exactly the same energy.
Talk me through Ollie Hawkins booking. Because I, for the laugh at me, cannot work out why Ollie Hawkins... He got booked for standing still. That's what it looked like from in the ground.
Yeah, so I thought this. It's a bit unfortunate.
Unless he said something afterwards.
It's a bit unfortunate. I think what's happened is, and I think what he's done, the moment leading up to it, it's a bit of a tussle. They've both kind of fallen over off of each other. It's 6 to 1, half a dozen the other approach. But what the referee I think's booked him for is a persistence over the course of that half. It seems to be. That's because when he booked him,
he didn't take the same approach with their centre half, who just kept running through the back of people.
Yeah, right. I know, but I think when he had the book, and I think the referee did that thing where you point like 2 or 3 times, which suggests that it's
for accumulation, right? Okay.
Exactly. That's what I think it's for, because he was perplexed by it, and you can see his reaction, and it was a bit of a, like I always say, I think probably 10-20% of referees give a yellow card for that kind of persistence. It just so happens the one that was refereeing our game today.
And another thing, and I've said he was good. Maybe I was a bit hasty. Their number 14 kicked the ball away 3 times in about 2 minutes. And it took till the 3rd attempt to get the yellow card out.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it was great that Breakspear was doing it, but why did it take till the 3rd attempt? When you've suddenly booked Ollie Hawkins for an absolutely nothing challenge, again, it comes back to consistency. I don't want to dwell on it too much because we won the game, but there was a couple of weird decisions second half.
I do hope that I'm sure the referees give different things for different reasons all the time, and I think that I personally get a little bit frustrated when players try to time waste and kick balls away like that, and then there's no comeuppance for it, and I feel that we're very frustrated for that. But there'd be some referees that would give the yellow card instantly, and then it's just a question of there is some degree of some referees do things differently, even though they have the same set of rules, and that goes for a lot of sports as well. But yeah, it is frustrating, and I would say I wish that he'd done it earlier to try and nip it in the bud. But unfortunately, it took 3 goes for that.
But again, it's a sign of the respect that Carlisle are showing us, that suddenly with 10, 15 minutes to play, they're settling for a point.
Yeah,
which shows how well we were playing and how good we have been over a decent period of time now. One substitute who I've been crying out for to get more minutes recently, and we've only seen him once from the start, and that was at Stockport, and I felt sorry for him that night. He was really good that night, Tristan Abrahams is who I'm talking about, but he essentially done doggies between the 3 Stockport County centre halves. I said the game was crying out for pace. Their back 3 were pedestrian at best.
Yeah,
I mean, they're good defenders, but if there's a foot race, Tristan Abrahams is winning. I thought that was a really, really impressive cameo. He came on, he absolutely terrorised them without even touching the football. There was one where he pinched it off the centre half because he put him under pressure and he had a poor touch. Boz was saying, was it a red card? I said I thought the other centre half was on the cover. I don't know what your view was.
I think it's a yellow card. I knew it'd be yellow card straight away. The ball actually, when he chipped it over him, if he hadn't touched him and continued to run, I actually the defender probably would have just about got it and cleared it out for a throw-in.
Yeah, I thought that the defender was making the right motion to get. I think Tristan would have to have gone round him rather than run away from him, is what I'm trying to say. Then he terrorised Thomas Holy. Thomas Holy had to come out and smacked it against the top of the Medway stand, which is a fate in its own. So fair play for that. I just want to see more of Tristan, whether that's from the start or just getting more minutes from the bench, because he looks like a player that can have a real impact late in games when defences are tired. And I thought he was really good for 15 minutes without touching the ball loads.
And I thought so as well. I'm in the similar position in thinking I want to see more of Tristan. And it was really when he came on. And we've had a lot of people making big impacts in games from subs bench. I genuinely thought when he came on that how the game changed was quite incredible. Actually, the complexion of the game was different, and you could really see that the defense of Carlisle were like, oh, we need to do something about this. And this is why that Thomas Holy hit the top of the Medway stand. That is why whoever was it, Barkley got booked for making a tackle.
Feeney got one shortly after for fouling Ollie Hawkins, I think.
Yeah. So he was doing, like you say, he was terrorising, and they had to manhandle him essentially to try and keep themselves in the game, because that's the only way you're going to do that with someone with 100% energy, with that much pace against defenders who have probably got 50% energy and are a lot slower. Mm-hmm. So it made a big impact on that change. I do wish it came earlier, actually, but it still made a big difference in my opinion.
And essentially, Neil Harris got it right, because the big moment came shortly after. I'm not saying Tristan's directly involved, but yeah, you have to give credit to Neil Harris. His substitutions were positive.
Yep.
I think they all had a good impact in different ways. George Lapsley's was probably more low-key in keeping the ball, being neat and tidy with it. Dom's was a bit more sort of obvious in terms of stretching the play down the left-hand side and getting us in behind. And Tristan, in terms of his work rate and just simply being a presence and a nuisance, really affected the final 10, 15 minutes. It was Christian Dennis. That was the one who got booked for kicking the ball away. Mm-hmm. And then the big moment. We'd got into good areas down that left-hand side a few times, hadn't we? And then just not released the pass quick enough. Forgive me, it's all a bit of a blur. I'm not going to lie. Remember the ball sort of, I think it got cut back, and I think one of the centre-halves tried to clear it off balance and sort of scuffed it 3 or 4 yards. It's one hell of a finish from Sean Williams. I think if he has a touch, Thomas Holy sets himself. I think if he side foots it, Thomas Holy saves it. But I think to get that much power before Holy is able to set himself with his laces is phenomenal in terms of quickly making that decision, because it's gone right through Thomas Holy. It's not miles away from him. He's not stretching. It's just been beaten by the sheer velocity of it.
Absolutely.
Goal-scoring machine all of a sudden, Sean Williams.
Really is. So just to put it into context, I've not seen the goal back actually since I've made a video about 2 hours ago. I think, and I'm going to go out on a whim, I think it's Masterson takes on one man, goes round one. Then he passes it to Dieng. Dieng gets it to Williams. Williams makes the pass to Jeffries. Oh, that's the one I can't remember. Might be Tristan Abrahams.
I thought it was Jeffries. Was it Jeffries? Yeah.
And then Jeffries puts it in. Tristan Abrahams is there somewhere.
Is it him that falls over with the centre half as he clears it?
That's it. And then it goes back to Williams, who essentially looked like he started the main move, who then finished it in the back of the net and rifled it right in the top middle. I think that's how it happened.
Close enough. Close enough. You got the key bit right. It ended up in the back of the net.
Exactly.
The Raynham end absolutely went off. It was brilliant in there. It was really, really good. It was good all game. Don't get me wrong. And I think Carlisle fans made that atmosphere as well by bringing well over 400. And it's a huge trip
That's impressive, to be fair. That really is.
But yeah, good attendance again. That Raynham. Honestly, it was like a Raynham end of old, I think. It was absolutely bouncing. Like, you think the roof's going to come off, such as the noise and the positive atmosphere in there. I thought we deserved it. I thought we were the better team in terms of trying to make stuff happen. Like we've already said, it wasn't a game for goalkeepers. They've made one save between them. I'm not going to count Thomas Oley falling on Aidan O'Brien's flick or anything like that. But Glenn Morris has been half extended once. That's it. But I thought we were the team that wanted to try and win it in the final 15 minutes. And we've mentioned that the kicking the ball away. Carlisle had settled with a quarter of an hour to go to take their point back up the road north.
I am completely unapologetic when saying that we deserve to win that. And I like
best performance of the season.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes,
based on where they are.
Yeah,
where we've come from. I just thought we was immaculate to a man. Absolutely first class. Everybody knew what they was doing. Everybody stuck to their role. If someone was out of position, someone covered. There was no leaving it to anyone else. No one was shirking responsibility. We used our bench well. Neil Harris has to get credit for that. Just a really, really good win. And it's the next step that we wanted to take, wasn't it? It doesn't mean we're the finished article, not by any means, but we'd beaten the Rochdales and the Colchesters and the Hartlepool and the Crawleys. We'd drawn with Harrogate. We'd not conceded a goal in them games. They was the teams that were right next to us at the time. I think we then made baby steps beating the Wimbledons, the Crews, the Tranmeres, who were sort of lower mid-table. This was the big one, wasn't it? To give these players real belief going into next season that we can compete with the best sides in the division. And I thought we did it and some.
Absolutely. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think it's 30 points from 45 now. And I think that Harris
30 points from 15 games, So it's 2 a game over a 15-game period. That is championship winning form.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's incredible. And to be able to put up a decent fight and an amazing performance against a strong Carlisle United side kind of just suggests that actually, even though we're not the finished article, we're making the right steps to becoming an article, which is
they're becoming strides now. They were steps before. I think they're becoming strides, and they're getting bigger and bigger. Yep.
So I'm like I say, I'm really excited for next season, and for the first time in a very long time, I'm genuinely excited just for the summer, just to see what happens, and firstly what happens to develop in the stadium. I can't wait to see what happens there, but also what happens to the squad and to the team moving forward into the summer, because that is going to be. Oh, it's going to be very exciting as a Gills fan. Really is. I can't wait for it.
I can't disagree at all. I can't wait for the new campaign. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this one now because safe, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm so cautious of stuff like that, being slightly nerdy.
Was it at 12 points? It's 12 points with 8 games to go. So you're expecting Rochdale and Hartlepool to gain a point and a half a game, essentially. That's not going to happen.
I think Rochdale were gone today after losing to Crawley, and this is gonna sound mad. I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I still think that it's quite dangerous for Colchester, who might slip back down.
Fallen off a cliff, haven't they? I don't know how they got down. I've not looked at results, but they've really stopped. They've stopped scoring goals as well, which is a concern.
Yeah, and I'm worried about them falling off, and maybe Hartlepool and Crawley just about surviving. But anyway, that's for a different video.
An interesting end to the season. Right, we need to talk about Carlisle, and again, there's no notes, so we're going to have to just make this up as we go along.
Go for it.
I can't think of anything. I'm not. There's too much pressure.
I didn't say car crash Carlisle, but that's the other end. We can't say that one. That's really.
That's how poor they were.
That's really mean. Yeah.
Again, similarly to when we spoke after Tranmere, I'm struggling to find anyone that really, really stood out, that caused us a problem consistently over 90 minutes. We mentioned Patrick.
Yeah.
It fits and starts. He tried to get into dangerous areas, but didn't really do it enough. I thought Joe Garner was no threat.
No.
I thought they were neat and tidy. Maybe we won't do one. They were neat and tidy in the middle of the park, but without ever opening us up. Defensively, they were solid enough until right at the end.
Yeah, the only name that popped up a little bit, like I tried to do, is like maybe it was Owen Moxon, I think it is. Heard that name
I
a
think
couple
him
of
and Callum
times.
Guy, like I say, were the two that were neat and tidy and trying to keep things
Yeah.
ticking up. We'll have a look at them. Let's get their stats up quickly.
Okay.
Owen Moxon and what was the other one? Callum Guy.
Yeah,
We
Callum
are
Guy.
going with them. Both played 90 minutes. Oh, I've just closed it down. 2 seconds.
I think I've got Moxon's here if you want me to go through that.
Go on then. You do Moxon and I've got Guys as well.
Yeah, so Moxon, he played the full 90 minutes and he's got 25 passes complete, which is 68%.
Yep.
Crosses 7, long balls 8 and 5, I think, successful. No shots on target at all, but dribble attempts 4, 3 successful, ground duels 12, aerial duels 4, and then lost the ball 24 times. So, 4 tackles, 4 clearances, 2 interceptions. Like I say, that's a solid, tidy performance, isn't it? That's all that is.
Yeah, and Guy's very similar. Again, without pulling up any trees, he played the full 90 minutes. His pass completion was 72% of 46 touches. Three long balls accurate out of 4, so 75%. 1 dribble attempt, which was successful. He won 6 out of 9 duels on the ground, so that's about 65%. Won his 1 aerial battle. Lost the possession only 10 times compared to Moxon, so not as much, but still quite a lot. Did his defensive duty in terms of tackles 3, interceptions 2, and clearances. So we'll go for them. But there was no one that you thought,
no,
you can see why they're playing in a side that's third.
No. And that's only credits what we put on the pitch and how we
absolutely
played.
Yeah, because I'm not going to have this and this just be all on Carlisle being poor. This was Gillingham made them poor because we were very good all over the park.
Absolutely. And and it's nice to be able to talk about something like that where we can't find a promotion chasing team's best player within a game because we've done something right for us.
They certainly didn't look like a side that's high scorers in the division, and that's 3 blanks on the bounce for them now, isn't it? I think
so, it is. Yeah,
credit to us. I mean, the 2 results they had in the week and last Saturday, Stevenage and Bradford, are good results against good sides in and around them. So you're not letting them gain on you or get further away from you, so to speak. But I thought we were absolutely first class. I can't reiterate that enough. So let's look at Gills' man of the match before we do our player ratings. The sponsors gave it to one man. Are we going to be in sync with this one? I thought it was one of the best individual performances of the season. And we've said that before. I think we said that a few weeks ago about him. Sean Williams was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he was brilliant today. I mean, it would be silly for me to try and contest that.
Well, in fairness, that come out before the goal was scored.
It did actually. You're right. Yes,
as well. And I laughed at Boz after the goal. I said, if he weren't getting it with us before, he's got to get it now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was worth. It was his best performance of the season so far. Again, we've said it before, but that was even better. It was just such a solid performance, and what a way to top it off is to get the goal to win it in the last minute. I mean,
in front of Pat Rainamend, it can't be any better. It cannot be any better. Pat Rainamend, last minute of injury time, wallop.
Yeah. It was absolutely brilliant. To hear that Rainham through the headset here was just incredible. Really, it was. I was gutted that I wasn't part of it. Genuinely.
Next season, we'll be winning every week. Next season, you'll be over and be able to watch a game. Willow, 90 minutes played. Obviously scored the goal. 82 touches. I thought his pass completion would have been higher, 59%, but not a disaster. Okay. 2 key passes. About 40% accuracy in terms of crosses. Won 7 out of 12 on the floor. 25% aerial duels, but that's not his forte. That's left to Timmy Dieng in that area of the park. 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, 5 tackles. He was very, very good. I think the only thing I said about Willow, and that was very early in the game, he tried to pinch the ball off Patrick and got dribbled past a couple of times. And I thought, you could just stand up there, but you could understand it because Willow knows I'm not going to beat him in a foot race. So you can almost understand him trying to pinch the ball before Patrick goes. Yeah. But what we did really well was we then doubled up. The centre half came out, or the winger tucked in, and we was able to then clear up in behind. But from that point on, he was absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Yeah, there's not much. I mean, apart from what you just alluded to there, I can't see any other way which I can test how well he played. And for me, it was the most holistic performance he's given all season, and the best one as well. So that's a fit in with a goal at the end in front of Raymond. Perfect. Like, there's nothing more you could ask.
He likes it down there. That's 2 in the last. He's got back-to-back home games he scored, hasn't he? Oh no, the other one was at the other end, wasn't it? Against
it was,
Tranmere Rovers, but he scored the winner in front of the Raymond against Crawley at the start of February as well. So
yeah, he's doing a pretty good
Williams,
job now.
The goal scoring midfielder. That's not a sentence I thought I'd use.
No, right.
Match ratings.
Okay.
again, we got no notes. I'm just going off of what I tweeted. Glenn Morris, I went solid 7. Everything he did was fine. He didn't have loads to do, and I thought it was harsh to give anyone, certainly who started the game, less than 7, because it was an absolutely spot on display from everybody.
Yeah, exactly the same for me. It's a 7 as well. Yeah.
Then we was quite symmetrical with the back four. This was me and Boz doing the ratings. We went both fullbacks 7, so that's Shea Alexander and Robbie McKenzie. Thought both were super solid. First half, they was wary in terms of not getting too far over the halfway line in case they were broken on. But they got braver second period as we started to boss the game and try and win the game at the point when Carlisle settled. So 2 7s for them, and then we went 2 centre halves, Max Emer and Conor Marston 8. I thought both were absolutely outstanding again.
Yeah, you had the same approach as me, but instead of I did the 7s, McKenzie and Shea Alexander, but I went 7.5 for the 2 in the middle. That was the only difference for me.
Very similar lines again. Right, we'll go from right to left in terms of that midfield bank of 4. Alex McDonald 7. Thought he worked incredibly hard. I just thought the booking early second half sort of meant that he had to play within himself a little bit second period. And it was, I thought it was a very sensible change when he was withdrawn. But again, worked his absolute socks off, putting that massive block just before he had to get taken off. And that's a risky one there, because if he gets that slightly wrong, it could be yet another yellow card and we're having to play 20 minutes with 10 men. So yeah, solid 7 for Macca.
Yeah, I gave the 7 as well. I wanted to give a 7.5, but the yellow card that he got right at the start of the second half kind of jaded that decision for me. But the block as well, obviously very important. Balance that for me also as a 7. Yeah.
Right, into the mid. Oh, I did the same for Aidan O'Brien, actually. So we were symmetrical with the wingers again. He got into some good areas.
Same for me as well, 7 as well. It's going to be a very similar rating system we've got for this, it seems.
Let's have a look at the middle 2 then.
Okay.
Timmy Dieng, I went slightly higher than the wingers. I went 7.5. Again, I thought that was Tim Dieng back to somewhere near his best. Not always with the ball. I thought there was a few times where he had a poor touch or he misplaced a pass, but I thought he was super clever at helping out Sean Williams break up the game and stop Carlisle trying to break us on the odd occasion they tried to turn over possession. It competes in the air, whether he's winning the header every time or not, but he does enough to put people off. And like I say, the bit that I liked today, Saturday, we're recording Saturday, you know what I mean, was that thing that he was trying to make them late runs into dangerous areas again. And that's something I don't think we've seen enough of in the last couple of home games, certainly.
No, you've said that. I actually was pretty harsh. I just thought, considering how he's been before, he's got better, but I know that's not his best still. So I gave him a 7. But now reflecting on that, maybe that's a little bit harsh of me. Somewhere between 7 and 7.5 is maybe where I would put him. But just because I know he's capable of more, and we've seen better, but we've seen a lot worse. So somewhere for me falls somewhere in that middle bracket. And I'm hoping next time it goes even higher.
Sean Williams, 9 out of 10 for me. We've spoken about him already. First class performance from a captain. Everything you want in a skipper's display.
I almost wanted to give him a 10. I can't do that. So I'm going to give him, it's between 9 and 9.5. I thought he was brilliant today. And somewhere around there. This may be the nearest you could possibly give someone a 10, but I'm not a firm believer that every performance is perfect.
So that's it. I think you've got to be looking at sort of hat tricks to be going anywhere near the 10, I think. But yeah, I can understand why you can say that. But yeah, very, very good performance from the skipper. Front 2, I gave 7 to both. Ollie Hawkins got barely any protection again. I mean, he got more free kicks than he's had in recent weeks, but still not enough, in my opinion. Tom Nichols was busy, stretch play, intelligent, won free kicks, chased every lost cause. But I think the only chance they had between them was probably the Hawkins header that drifted over the top of the bar at the start of the second half. So they didn't get into proper goal scoring positions, I didn't think, but I thought their work rate and everything else about their play was absolutely superb again.
You're absolutely right. I actually gave Hawk a 7.5. I thought he actually was a solid rock in that moving forward. I thought he was maybe been a bit generous here, but I thought that he had a rough deal today, and I thought the ref was slightly against him more often than not. But he made a bit of a difference. They made it hard for Carlisle to do anything in terms of it was always there, and he was physical, and I thought he did a decent job today in that respect. And for me, Nick was also got a 7 again, for the same reasons you had as well. Was in and around, but just didn't quite get the full performance from Nichols, but was part of this part of the team that was a solid performance from everyone today. So you can't go lower than a 7.
Right, substitutes. I think I don't normally give a rating for 12 minutes. I think it was that he got with injury time, but we'll come to Tristan in a minute. The first 2 were George Lapsley and Dom Jeffries. I gave George a 6.5. purely because he didn't see a lot of ball. I thought when he had it, he used it really well. There was a couple of times he ran it into the corner and wasted time, which is what we wanted to do at that stage straight after the goal. It was just sort of a minute to try and see the game out. But I thought he was neat and tidy. But again, he came on in a position that I don't think is his favourite. One for me that stood out though was Dom Jeffries. I gave him a 7. I thought, like we've already spoke about, stretched the game, got the impetus back into our performance. If it was just starting to drift ever so slightly, he's involved in the goal because it's his cutback that causes the chaos. Yeah. And he got into good positions very regularly in the 20 minutes or 25 minutes that he was on. So 6.5 for George, 7 for Dom.
It's the same for me, exactly the same ratings, the same reasons. Normally we like to do the discussion to see if there's any differences in our opinion, but this one I can't pull apart. It's what you've said there is exactly what I think as well. So I just have to agree with you on that one. A 6.5 for Lapsley and a 7 for Jeffries for exactly the same reasons. I can't distinguish it. I'm sorry.
And Tristan Abrahams, like I say, we don't usually do ratings because I think he came on in the 83rd minute. So plus the 4 minutes injury time, he got 11 minutes. But I just thought such was his impact that we had to rate him. So we gave him a 6.5. He's above average because 6 is my average starting point. And like we've already said, without the ball, he had an impact.
Yep.
He could have, maybe gone on and scored if he'd not been tripped after pinching it off the centre half, because I'd have fancied him one-on-one at pace against the other centre half on the cover. But just thought it was a really promising cameo again.
Absolutely. If he plays like that the whole game, it's a 7 or a 7.5 performance. If he gets a goal, then it's an 8 performance. So that's kind of how you can measure that one. But yeah, based on the actual time he was on the pitch, I think 6 to 6.5 is about right. But definitely, if it was for the full game, it's a 7 to 7.5 performance. And I just want to say, I assume you're not going to give Will Wright a rating.
Thought it was absolutely brilliant for 12 seconds. Didn't give it away once. Didn't miss a tackle. Didn't miss a header. Not sure he made any, but yeah. Nice to be in that position, though, isn't it? Just to chuck people on to run down the clock. It's lovely.
Absolutely.
One little person I want to speak about before we finish up was a young lad called Alfie Tollett.
Yes.
There was a minute's silence at the start of the game for the young lad who unfortunately I think died in an accident of some kind. Doesn't live locally. His family were in attendance today, and I thought it was immaculately observed, the minute's applause. Maybe young Alfie was looking down on us in the last minute of injury time, but I just thought it'd be wrong to not do the episode without mentioning a young man who sadly has had his life cut short. So to all of Alfie's family and friends, we are thinking of you at a tragic time and a really hard time. And yeah, maybe that 3 points was for Alfie.
Yeah, it's yeah, no one wants to go through that. And my thoughts Absolutely also not. with that, it's an awful thing. And I can't add anything to what you said there, Matt, but my thoughts are also there as well. And yeah.
I think that's a nice place to end. Gills fans, thanks for watching. As always, if you've got this far, we appreciate it as always. Don't forget to go and check out Rhys's match highlight show. It will be a belter. Because you've already watched it, because it's Monday, so you better have watched it, or Rhys will be coming over to find you.
Absolutely.
But no, keep subscribing to Rhys's channel. It's brilliant. I say it every single week. It's absolutely superb content from afar, and it's great for those expats and those that live further away that can't get to games. The setup's absolutely brilliant. Like I say it all the time, it's a lot more professional than mine. Please keep supporting my channel as well. Keep liking, subscribing, retweeting, sharing, and doing everything that you do. Do not forget that the videos are all in association with Art of Football. I tell you every time, the link's in the description at the bottom of the video. Go and check out their website for retro and vintage hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, prints, classic football shirts, everything you want for any club that you support. Go and have a look because it's a brilliant site run by brilliant football people. I'll be back later in the week, hopefully, to talk to a Barrow fan to preview that game. I will not be travelling up next Saturday. But yeah, it's another game that I fancy us to get something from, such as the current form. But yeah, hope your Monday's not been too stressful. You can go into work, whether that's the office, the school, the building site, whatever it is, with a spring in your step, because it's another big performance. It's another huge 3 points for the Gills. And I dare I say it, I think we're safe. Please don't come back and bite me on the arse. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you soon. But until next time, up the Gills.
Up the Gills.